So tell me about, when did you start operational comedy?
So Operation Comedy, I started right off the bat.
Mhm.
And the whole idea was to have bigger name comics do real stand-up for real soldiers and sailors and airmen and, you know, Navy and every branch of the military.
Mhm.
And it went really well. I was doing theater, but I knew that in order to start connecting with bigger talent, I was going to have to go to the talent instead of trying to get the talent out to Indianapolis. That was not happening. So I
Mhm.
got out here, and that's when I met, you know, a lot of the people I work with now. So like Eliza, Whitney Cummings, Nikki
Mhm.
Glazer, Bill Burr,
Wow, you've got some big names you've worked with on that.
Jeff Ross. And yeah, and I don't want, like, I want to make it clear, this isn't like some name drop where I think I'm great or some shit like that. It's just, they liked the idea of wanting to give back and be able to support the military by telling jokes for them and not having to worry about being censored. If you go do a military show on a military base, you can't say this, you can't say this, you can't say this.
Oh man.
Yeah, and people.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
It's like, hey man, I'll do jokes anytime for a charity, but I can't work for free and be told what to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And then
that happens every year, operational comedy, or?
I do different benefits and different shows at different times. I do some. There's a World War II aircraft carrier out here, or I'm sorry, World War II battleship in LA Harbor, the USS Iowa. I'll do shows there. I'll do shows at the American Legion. I'll sometimes do them in comedy clubs. But now what I've started to do also is taking comics out to the desert, in the Mojave Desert, to actually do military with the military. So I just took Whitney Cummings and Hannah Stocking and heavyweight champ Deontay Wilder. I took them out to the National Training Center in the Mojave to shoot guns and do, you know, crazy ass army shit. It was hella fun. Hella fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's crazy. Wow. That sounds like, and that is a good thing that you're giving back like that. You know, that you did 2 years and now you're giving back and giving proper entertainment.
Yeah.
And I bet you they enjoy it because it's not some Mickey Mouse show that they're watching anymore.
Exactly. And that's what they kept getting. And look, I understand the military not being able to allow. So my whole idea was like, well, just take the military experience off base so people can do whatever the fuck they want. And the military likes it too, because then they don't have to worry about any sort of liability. If somebody makes a certain kind of joke, they're like, yeah, it was off base. So the fuck you gonna do?
Wow. Now, how did you get involved with Spanglish? That show, that current show that you're doing right now, because this is very interesting to me. This is just like, I love it. I love this idea because you're supporting Latinos and then you're also having a bilingual show. It's great.
Yeah, the great legendary Paul Rodriguez reached out. It's been about 3 months now, and he was like, look, I'm doing this show. I'm busy. I'm making my own movie. I don't have time to run it. He and I had worked together. He had done 2 of my Spanish shows, all Spanish. So he knew me and knew that I'd produce these type of events. And he was like, it's every week at the Laugh Factory on Thursdays. Will you run it for me? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that would be a dream. And he was like, but I want to call it Spanglish so it opens up a larger, broader audience rather than just Spanish. And I was like, that makes all the sense in the world. So, and then I wanted to specifically book different comics. Some do Spanish, some do English, some do a combination, which is usually what happens. I started doing more English, but I like to do about 70% Spanish, 30% English. And it's been a trip. It's been so fun.
Now, does any mouths drop? Because I have to admit, when I first saw you speak Spanish, I'm like, what? Like, are mouths open like that?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And I have to say that is an experience that has never, ever, ever gotten old for me. And every time I get to do it, it's such a trip. It's so doing, whether it's the taco guy or a girl at a club or stand up. Because what I like to do is I like to walk out and I go, Spanglish, huh? And the crowd laughs and I go, anybody want to guess which language I'll be doing? And then they all laugh, and then I go into, you know, porque se me quedan mirando como diciendo que pedo con este pinche güero, que no, tranquilos culeros, no soy migra, cálmanse. And you literally.
And wow, and your accent, like the fact to me that you could, so this is the thing, when I was in LA, I got my SAG card and all that, and I would audition, and because I didn't have that neutralized Mexican accent, you know, it was like, okay, no. So I always had the East Coast, but you're able to do this Chicano, like Mexican accent with the, like, I can't even do, you know.
Yeah, it's a really odd hybrid because it's like, I'm still kind of a hill jack, so you can hear like the Indiana kind of a little bit of a drawl. Have the Spain thing, but
you did it perfect. Like you did when you spoke, like you did a part where I speak like, because I like Mexico, not like I'm in Spain. And when you did this accent from España, it was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
How did, like, I can't even do that. Like, I'm mad at myself. How can I can't even do different. Some people can. I saw one comic. I saw a Cuban comic. He pretty much got everyone. I remember I saw it because I was like trying to practice different accents because, you know, but you're able to do it. And you didn't grow up. This is just amazing. Like,
well, I'm pulling this guy. I can't believe I can't think of his fucking dude.
Your friend.
He's my friend. I literally am having to Google Chilean.
Oh, I've done that before, and I'll have to Google or look on IMDb at the show that they were in, and it's just our brain. You smoke a lot of weed?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, but I have really bad ADD. Fabrizio Capano. I can't believe I can't think of his name. He is not only a delightful human being, he's really, really fucking funny. But he's young. He's Chilean, which is not something that anyone really is familiar with.
No.
And I threw him up and I was like, let's see how a hardcore Chicano crowd reacts to this kid.
Yeah.
And he murdered. Because what I've learned, I know this is cliche, is funny. And if you got good jokes, nobody is so dug in with their inter-Latin American racism that they're not going to laugh at a professional comic telling good jokes.
It's true.
So there's really none of that. As far as I've been able to see, everyone just really has a good time. And as long as you're funny, nobody really gives a.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so cool. Wish we had something like that in New York. Well, we have the Colombian one in New York, but which I need to go see to see how the variety, but that's really cool what you're doing, and it's helping my community, you know.
Well, and what they told me is, you know, one thing I try to be really empathetic about and careful about is when you're a white dude and you're running Latino night, you got to be careful not to get too familiar and too into how, you know, like you still need to present some humility. Like, you know, obviously I'm not Eminem, but if you look at how Eminem has kind of always handled himself, he's like, I'm a guest of the Black hip hop world.
Right.
Like, that's very much how I feel. Is I have the ability to book and organize, and I know the comics, and I know I do that. But I'm also like, I make it, it's not about me.
Right. You have respect for our community.
Yeah, like a ton of it. And what meant a lot to me was for a guy like Paul Rodriguez to go, dude, you paid your dues. Like you speak, you lived in Mexico, you lived with a family, you spent all this time learning our language and our culture. Don't worry about what anybody fucking says. And everybody's been super, super cool about it. But also some of them told me that in the beginning, the reason it worked having a white guy do this is because I didn't have any of the old beefs that all these comics had from years and years and years, right? So I just came in and I didn't know or dislike anybody and was able to just start putting it together. And it's been by so far and away the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. I've been doing stand-up for 15 years. I hate to admit, but like stand-up is kind of stand-up.
Yeah.
I've been doing it forever. But the Spanish thing never, ever, ever gets old. And just every time I get done, it feels like almost like having a superpower, being able to do that.
Wow.
Make people laugh in another language. It's the coolest thing in the whole world times 1,000. It's unbelievable.